Hello, this is the Irish Guy Extra. And look, I just wanted to come on and take a look at how close and tight the Premier League table actually is right now. Because last night, it was an insane night of football, honestly. For Newcastle to roar back and beat Leeds 4-3. Okay, do you know what? I'm saving it for the Prem catch-up. Don't worry, I'll do it then. I'll recover all those ones, including Enzo Lafi's Panenka penalty. Oh, what you do? Why are you... Okay, no. I will talk about that in the Prem catch-up. But for this today, I just wanted to come on. And don't worry, this is going to be a rant about Gary O'Neill taking the Strasbourg job, although I do feel sorry for that French club. Can they sink no lower? They've already had their boss pinched by Chelsea, and now they're getting just an absolute managerial gremlin at the wheel. It's, I feel bad for them, okay? If there's one club I feel bad for in world football right now, it is Strasbourg. You have my sympathy. But no, look, what I want to do today is take a look at the race for Europe, because what I love about the championship table every year, what we all love about it, is that it's so close and anyone can get into the playoffs, really. I mean, you go from relegation battle at Christmas to promotion by May in the blink of an eye. It's a brilliant league. The Premier League, though, for years, it's become so static and stale, especially in the midsection. Trust me, Newcastle under Rafa Benitez and Steve Bruce were exactly that. No real relegation worries for the most part, but it was just that awkward, just boring patch of getting trapped between 9th and 14th. That little area of mid-table mediocrity. That's why I always thought that the Premier League should bring in a playoff for the top 4 and a playoff for the Europa League, something like that. So if you get into the top 6 or 7, you can play out for the final Champions League spot. And then maybe that could trickle down to Europa League and basically keep the whole league active and just keep it exciting, because honestly, if you're a mid-table boring team coached by Sean Dyche, you can just fall asleep after March. You hit 40 points and that's it. You're just trapped there at about 13th place, which is why I'm so happy Crystal Palace got their FA Cup win and now have European football now, because they've been so bored for years, getting 12th year after year after year. However, look at the table now, because anyone can get Champions League football, and I mean anyone. Okay, not anyone. I mean not anyone in the relegation battle, but like honestly, look at this. So right now, you've got Liverpool perched in 4th. So you've got Leeds just 14 points behind them in 16th. Newcastle were down on the doldrums for weeks, right? Months. It was a terrible season. Eddie Howe was on the close of getting sacked, right? He was on the verge of it. On the verge of getting sacked by Christmas. That's how the fans, some of the fans, would make you believe. Brian, what? I didn't say nothing. What? No, nobody. No famous celebrity Newcastle fan. Nothing, Brian, what? No, but look, a lot of people were championing for the Eddie Howe sack, and I thought it was a clear sign that you've got chocolate muffins for brains. Because look at them now. 6th. 3 wins on the bounce. Newcastle are now 6th, hunting down Champions League football. And above them is Brentford, under an absolute rookie manager. I mean, who saw that coming? Brentford, under Keith Andrews. When he took the job, I genuinely thought it was a joke. And not even a funny joke, one of them dad jokes, where the punchline is him basically telling you to go in your room and eat toilet paper. Like, it was hideous. Like, replacing Thomas Frank with him? Here's the glorious part, though. This is an Irish manager who's literally within 1 point of the top 4 in January. This is amazing. This shows how open the table is. I mean, Man United have been having a poor season, right? Still 7th. Still 7th, and they can't even beat Burnley. Like, the door is open. I don't think the Premier League table has been this open for a team to come in and swoop a Champions League spot since... Do I go back as far as Leicester? The Leicester title win, by the way. Not when Leicester nearly did it under Brendan Rodgers. I mean, the Leicester title win when the likes of Southampton and West Ham almost got in because everyone was underperforming that year. It's kind of the same this time out. The only team who are performing to the maximum is Arsenal and probably Brentford and Sunderland, I guess. But that's it. Everyone else is kind of having a stodgy season, which is kind of poor for the overall quality of the league, but it makes for entertaining open league. That's what I want. That's what everyone wants. A Premier League season where it's just open. And yeah, look at it. I mean, Sunderland are halfway down the table, but they're only 3 points off Champions League football. And I mean, if you want to open it up and say that 5th could get Champions League again, which it absolutely could, considering I think Crystal Palace will win the Conference League, and it's based on how the English teams do in Europe. And yeah, there's enough of them. There's enough of them in there to do well. I mean, there's 6 English teams in the Champions League. Forest in the Europa League. Palace are flying high in the conference. Yeah, I mean, 5th probably will mean because all the money's in the Premier League, and these teams will probably go far in Europe. Yeah, fifth probably does mean Champions League football again, which means that Brentford are right now in a Champions League spot. And Chelsea aren't far back, and then even Fulham are in the race now after they beat Chelsea, and yeah, Brighton, Everton, Crystal Palace aren't too far behind. Because, yeah, I mean, if fifth is Champions League football, then that's what, sixth, seventh for Europa League and Conference League? And, I mean, Leeds are only 10 points off seventh, and Leeds are Leeds are at 10 points off seventh, and they're in flying form. You wouldn't put it past them making up a 10-point gap on Man United over the next 5 months. I wouldn't. Not a Man United of Ollie at the wheel, or Darren Fletcher, or Michael Carrick. Like, this is just so exciting, so entertaining. But look, who do I want to get Champions League football? Obviously, Newcastle. That's who I want to get in there. Because I think the top three are probably pretty much already there. Arsenal, Man City, and some Aston Villa. Barring an absolute Villa collapse, I think that top three they're probably already wedged in. So really it is for fourth and fifth. And I think Liverpool do have the firepower, obviously, to go on and get either fourth or fifth. Anything lower than that would be an absolute disgrace. And Arne Slot should absolutely be sacked. In fact, he probably have his entire CV chucked in a bonfire, and he should be, I don't know, stripped naked and made to walk through the city of Liverpool with everyone shouting, shame, shame, shame. But no, they should absolutely have enough, and especially in the second half of the power to click, and yeah, I just slobbered all over my mic for a minute there, but look, Liverpool absolutely have enough in the second half of the season to click. They've got, Isak will come back, they got Wirtz, Ekitike. It's a title-winning squad. They should absolutely be getting one of those spots. Which means that there's probably another Champions League spot up for grabs for an underdog. I obviously want it to be Newcastle, but who do I think right now? And who do I want, if not Newcastle? I think, okay, let's see. Brentford will run out of steam. Brentford are one of those teams they've done really well, but they're plopped in fifth because it's just their turn to I don't know, to keep that seat warm. Like, it was like Nottingham Forest this time last year. Or actually, no, Forest up there for a while. No, it's like, I don't know. Like when we saw Bournemouth second earlier in the season. Like, you knew Bournemouth were not going to stay there. And the same with the Bees. I mean, no, I think they probably no chance of finishing fifth. But it's nice to see them up there. It's nice and cute. It reminds me when Southampton were briefly fourth back in 2004. Nobody remembers that at all. But I do. I remember, okay, it was actually 2003, the start of the 03-04 season. They were up there at the start of the campaign with James Beattie banging in the goals, and then they ran out of steam, and the next season they were relegated. So that doesn't bode that well for Brentford. But no, they're just a plucky underdog who just happened to find themselves that high up, and now they're probably all going to get nosebleeds. So I do think Newcastle, actually. I do. I know you might say it's absolute Magpies bias, but Eddie Howe recovered the team's form this time last year, and right now, 3 wins in a row. Got Man City in a cup semi-final next week. And Wolves away. This is really promising that Newcastle could go on a second half season run again and do bits. I think fifth or fourth. Newcastle could absolutely finish above Liverpool, which would be quite funny for the when Isak looks at the table in May. But yeah, I do think and I want Newcastle. But if not Newcastle, who do I want? Again, I'd love to see an underdog in there. I would love to see an underdog in the Champions League because, I don't know, I feel like the powers that be try everything they can to keep underdogs, small little teams, tiny clubs out of big boy European football. We saw with Crystal Palace, they fairly qualified for the Europa League, but because of some boardroom chaos, which shouldn't have really played that big a role. They get hoisted by their ankles, dragged out of there, and Nottingham Forest, a bigger club who've actually won 2 European Cups in their history, they're allowed to go in and represent England in the Europa League, right? Because that's, these big corporations and these big federations, they don't want tiny clubs staining their massive European competitions. They don't want little maggots in the top leagues. They don't. They treat them all as if they're little rats and they try to hoover them out of the Queen's Palace. That's what it feels like. I feel like I want a tiny club in the Champions League. They don't want it because it'll bring down the coefficient when that team gets absolutely smashed to pieces. But look, we've seen it with Europa League. We've seen teams like Wigan and Birmingham win cups and then play Europa League football whilst being a championship club. And I'm guessing the FA would have absolutely winced at the thought of that when they saw their English representative getting absolutely embarrassed on a Thursday night. Not quite Champions League worldwide level, but on Thursday nights it was bad enough. What they don't want is a tiny little team in the Champions League. When was the last time we had one? Literally from England. When was the last time we had a Brentford playing Champions League football? No. Newcastle, Aston Villa, Spurs, big clubs, big powerful clubs. No, but like in the past, I've seen teams flirt with it. I remember Charlton Athletic back in 2005. They were flying high, top 4 for most of the first half of the season, but then they crumbled and fell out as faded away. But it would have been hilarious to see Alan Kirby's Charlton with Darren Bent up front at the Champions League. Middlesbrough came close. They came really close a couple of times under Steve McLaren. Wigan, West Ham were flying high 20 years ago. Hull were trying to do it-ish in 2008. But we've never really seen a really true underdog up there. So I'd love to see Brentford on a Champions League night. I would. Especially Keith Andrews. I would love to see him manage on a Champions League night. I would. I know many of you probably think that I'm wishing him to fail considering I said that he would. And I'm trying to preserve my dignity. I think my dignity left my soul a long time ago. I'd love to see a Fulham in the Champions League. I'd love to see Brighton. No, Brighton. Fulham, yes. I think Brighton in the Champions League, it would just... There'd be so many squealing, excited hipsters, I think my eardrums would burst. Even Tottenham aren't out of it. Like, Tottenham are all the way down there in 14th. Thomas Frank looks like he's not going to get chewed out of his players. But, lads, because it's so tight, they're only 7 points off 4th and 6 points off 5th. Like, even they could do it. So you know what, Brentford, go on then. Go on then. They've got an Irish contingent. Kelleher, Collins and Andrews. Go on. I'd love to see Brentford get the Champions League. It'll be great. But I don't think it will. I think it'll be Newcastle. But look, I just wanted to come on camera and just say how thrilled I am that it's so close and so tight. And yeah, but actually, you know what would be hilarious? If Leeds went on a massive run and got European football, it's not out of the question. They're 10 points behind Man United in 7th. If Leeds really get their act together and go on an amazing run, continue their amazing run, they could squeak Conference League football. It's that tight. And that's why I think this season is shaping up to be really exciting in the second half. I think I'm pleased with this. I'm pleased how close the table is. But I do think it'll be Newcastle and Liverpool getting the last 2 Champions League spots. Because surely 5th is going to open up. Surely Palace are going to win the Conference League. Surely Forest are going to go relatively, at least get out of the group of the Europa League. And there's going to be some big hitters in the English clubs in the Champions League semi-finals. Man City and Arsenal probably. I even think Newcastle could do what Villa did and get to a quarter-final. Wouldn't that be exciting? Yes, it would. Oh, lads, Newcastle versus Real Madrid under the lights. Can you imagine it? But look, I just said I'd come on and just ramble about how close it is. But look, that is the end of the video. Premier catch-up coming very soon. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, raise. I'll waffle you in a while.